Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Campus Consortium's Grant I Seminar featuring $20,000 Grant Award winner William Woods University. Today's presentation will focus on how William Woods University received $20,000 grant for their IT Helpdesk support for students and staff, and how your institution can also apply for a similar grant. Our presenters include Ms. Michelle Brock, who is the IT Helpdesk Manager at William Woods University, and Mr. Mills, Senior Consultant at Campus Consortium. We will take questions at the end of today's presentations that have been typed into the chat box or question pane in your GoToWebinar control panel. Without further ado, allow me to present Mr. Mills and Ms. Brock. Over to you, Mr. Mills.
Colleagues, good afternoon. It's a few minutes over the 2 o'clock time here on the Eastern Seaboard. We have approximately 50 institutions who have joined us for today's briefing to learn about the grant program and how Michelle and her team have leveraged the grant for their IT help desk. So, out of this briefing, you will learn how to apply for similar grants to what William Woods University was successful in applying and receiving, and then further downstream implementing. The bulk of the briefing will come from Michelle on her project and the outcome of that project. Campus Consortium is the largest global association of higher education institutions. The core of the grant program is to help institutions improve their retention, student services, enrollment, or advancement objectives. Essentially, leverage much-needed funds to help achieve outcomes, again, more cost-effectively. The other part of the grant program is also to leverage other institutions and their expertise that have come before. Michelle would be an excellent point of reference not only for the grant program or process, but if you're thinking of applying for any of these grants. She can also be a resource to help you through the readiness assessment in terms of your campus's successful implementation. But because at the end of this day, we at Campus Consortium are looking for campuses that have the need but also leverage the grant successfully so that you too can get the briefings such as this and share your lessons learned and share your experiences with other institutions. The grant was won and leveraged by William Woods University, was for IT Helpdesk support. There are quite a few series of grants from Campus Consortium. For instance, cloud hosting, single sign-on, enterprise portal, and the mobile app, just to name a few. So make sure that the grant that you're applying to is the right grant that adds value to your particular context. We have also tried to make the grant as simple as possible, since some of you are grant writers yourself or work within your institution on the grant side, and some institutions don't have a grant team. The next major deadline is June 28th, 2017. We have 12 available grants available till June 28, 2017. The application process is also somewhat flexible. We understand higher ed is busy, already sort of short-staffed. We usually will extend some flexibility to the deadline if there is a valid reason for it. You're welcome to call us or call previous grant recipients for help or input on the questions. Other than William Woods University, you will see a slide of some other institutions that range from Louisiana State University to Belmont University to Bryant University. We also have Shelton State, University of Arkansas System, and so it doesn't really mean that you should be of any particular type of institution in terms of private, public, four-year tier. As long as you're a bona fide institution of higher ed, the grant program is available to you. That is a little bit of the context on the grant program and the application, sort of time frames and process. The key really here is how can any of these programs be relevant to you and allow you to achieve a strategic institutional objective in improving student experience or improving enrollment or advances in processes. And if we can ascertain that the project will be successful, which means that the grant funds will be well utilized, that really is what kind of drives our decision in making, or what drives us to choose campuses. Without further ado, I would like to pass the platform to Michelle Brock, who is the Help Desk Manager at William Woods University. Over to you, Michelle.
Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me. Hi, I'm Michelle Brock, and I'm from William Woods University, and I work at the Help Desk, where I serve as the Training and Support Manager. In my role, I oversee customer support that can range from support on campus, off campus, and for some of our online programs. We support account access and credentials. We support classroom hardware and software, administrative hardware, training and technology purchasing. And we're located in Fulton, Missouri, which is right in the middle of the state. We're kind of in between St. Louis and Kansas City. We're located in a small town that we share with another college just down the road. We're probably best known for two of our programs, American Sign Language Interpreting, and we're also known for our internationally recognized equestrian program that offers degrees in equine administration. So on our little campus, sometimes it's not unusual to see horses being led around by students. We do have about 157 horses on our campus, and it's a nice atmosphere. Our community is about 3,500 students and faculty from 35 states and 24 countries. So that's a little bit about William Woods University. Some of the problems and challenges that we faced. About 4 years ago, we launched an online program in addition to our off-campus and traditional program. The shift to online meant a lot of students that we used to serve needed more access and in a more timely manner. Without this access, they literally could not go to class. In the beginning, when we first started our online program, we were working weekends to keep up with the demand, but we still didn't have open phone lines. So the weekend support was email only, and it was not consistent. Often we would come in on Monday mornings to a lot of voicemails and unanswered work orders or tickets that really resulted in poor customer service for our students and faculty. And of course, that backlogged our system. So obviously there was a problem there. There was always a problem, I would say, of not having the weekend and after hours support, but it really magnified once we went online. I remember several years ago we did do a cost comparison to determine if we could staff our office on weekends, and we just continued to run into roadblocks, not only with the cost comparison, which is several different roadblocks were in our way. But we were able to overcome this when we started working with Black Belt. So upon the startup, I know we worked exclusively with Campus EAI to start having the discussion about what Black Belt Help could offer us through the grant. I know my role was, of course, the CIO was the primary person who worked on this, but my role was, of course, I was able to provide a lot of information and kind of opinions and what the need was, but a lot of my role, once we established that we would begin using Black Belt, was I worked on filling out several discovery documents and I worked internally to ensure that Black Belt was able to handle our requests, and I really wanted to make sure that it was not disruptive to our customers. And I wanted to make sure it was as less disruptive to my staff as possible as well. So I had to kind of think about, well, what would these students need after hours? So I worked internally to fill out the discovery documents and to give Black Belt the access that they needed to serve these students. One of the nice things about it is they're already trained help desk technicians. So upon giving them access, they know what to do. We just had to give them the access, and we had to determine the scope of what they would support. So we were able to give them the access, and we were able to keep our existing phone number that we had set up to just roll over to them after hours. So we defined the scope of the work, and we made it live 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. And then I would say that the first few months were pretty vital once we were established. It was very vital to do routine checks on tickets and address any tickets that were not being addressed kind of the way that we would do it in-house. Now, I confess I was very critical at first, and I addressed everything in the beginning with my rep, who I met with on a very regular basis, because I knew it was important that I had to communicate as we first started out. So, and one of the nice things is that they were always adaptable to our needs and our guidelines and our checklists. So again, I was always very critical at first, but they usually always addressed everything that I had asked them to do as they got to know us and know our system. So as time went on, tickets were addressed much better. And while I am still critical, if I ever notice anything out of place, I am still critical. I'm at the point now where not only am I critical, but sometimes I'll notice some good things. And I think it's important to say good job every now and then. I probably wouldn't have said that at first, but I'm at the point now where I can really pass along a good job to our rep to let them know that they've done a good job, because I think that's important as well. I have noticed some instances where they went above and beyond to help some of our customers, and I wanted to make sure to point that out as well. I can think of a couple instances that come to mind already. We're currently working with some new systems that should make our after-hour support run even smoother, and I will say that things are running smooth right now, but some of the things that we're working on right now is a better password system in-house that we will, of course, work with Black Belt Help on, and we're actually working with Campus EAI on that. And we will continue to modify it and have it in place, it is our hope, by maybe the end of the year. Some of the recommendations that I would have, and when you're starting out, is I would recommend communicate with your rep. Communicate and take the time that you need to address everything and make sure that they are addressing the tickets the way you want them to address them. Make sure they have the access that they need. I would say be critical to make sure that they're following your guidelines and checklists, and be honest. I have a meeting with my rep every other week, and occasionally I need to reach out to her in between those two times, but I think it's very, very important to always attend your meetings with your rep. Ours are, like I said, every other week we have a meeting, but occasionally I need to make something known to her. Maybe we're having a system outage that I want her to pass along to the after hours help desk, and communication has always been very smooth with us. And then, of course, take the time to fill out the discovery documents and determine what scope you would like Black Belt to assist with. I think that spending a little bit of time in the beginning will result in bigger dividends in the future. I know my technicians in-house are now doing bigger and better things. They're working on conference rooms, they're attending training because they're not working on our backlog tickets and not sitting by the phones. So those types of things were kind of a burden to us, and we really didn't realize what a burden it was until we started working with Black Belt. So those are my recommendations.
Thank you, Michelle, for sharing your thoughts and the whole procedure and how you went about implementing the help desk solution provider. right? We'll take a few questions from the audiences, right? And one of the questions that we have from the audience today is that who built the knowledge base articles? Was it your campus that built the knowledge base articles for the reps that need to be trained on how to handle your calls, or was it you? What kind of audit or procedure, did it take to get you to implement IT Helpdesk, and what was the implementation time frame?
I filled out almost all of the knowledge base articles. Of course, we were given several discovery documents that we filled out that would define the scope of what we were working with, but they didn't. But there was supporting documentation that had to go with that. So I was able to pull out of our working knowledge base some things that I wanted them to have. So, and that has worked well for us. And I've even added some things since we were first established with them. I've added a couple of things in there as well. So that communication seems to flow well. Again, as long as you're communicating, I think you'll have good results. But I was the one that oversaw and picked out the things out of the knowledge base that I wanted them to support.
Thank you, Michelle. What was the typical implementation time frame for you to execute the IT Helpdesk project with Black Belt Help or the technology vendor?
I started in July of 2015, and we were live by Labor Day of September 2015, so approximately 2 months. I did already have a working knowledge base, and I spent quite a bit of time on it as well. So that was kind of my exclusive project for July. And then, of course, when August hit, I was busy with other projects. But by the time we got the phone systems, by the time I worked with our telecommunications team to get our phone systems working, and I filled out the discovery documents, it was about 2 months.
Thank you, Michelle. I have another question from the audience. Were you using your own ticketing system, or did you leverage the ticketing system that the technology vendor provided you?
We use our own ticketing system, and Black Belt Help also uses that as well. We give them, they have a virtual desktop that's assigned to them, and they use that for the ticketing system.
Right. Thank you, Michelle. We have another question from the audience. That's from Daphne. What specifically did the grant cover? Software, staff, time, etc. So Daphne, the grant covers the implementation and the discovery or the setup cost of setting up the IT Helpdesk services through the technology partner. What you end up paying is only the interactions that you require. And basically, if you require any ticketing system in addition to if you want to replace your old ticketing system or set up a new one, that's what is not covered under the grant. But what is covered is basically the implementation and setup cost, which is roughly about $20,000. The next question that I have is from Hilda, who says, the grant covers the implementation of the system, right? And I wanted to say the grant covers the implementation of the Helpdesk service. Right, if you need the system or you need licenses for a ticketing system, that would be on a vendor negotiated rate that they have a partnership with. That could be InContact or Salesforce. It would be at a cheaper cost than you would go directly to the companies themselves. So you could find out from them. The next question is, will the grant support new software for IT Helpdesk? Ours is 15 years old and not efficient. Well, it really depends on how many licenses you're buying. I'm sure they can get you a package on discount in terms of the licensing that you require if you choose a new ticketing system, but the grant again covers only the implementation and the setup cost. So this one is for you. It says, you stated that your LMS is Moodle. How does Black Belt Help Techs interact with the platform? Are they able to troubleshoot Moodle issues?
They are not able to troubleshoot Moodle issues. That is, Moodle has their own help desk. Even our in-house team does not troubleshoot Moodle issues. What Black Belt Help does do is they can support the login issues, and we have our Moodle authenticate through Active Directory. So most of the time they're able to help with those Moodle issues through just a password reset. But when it comes to navigating within the site, they are instructed to pass those calls over to Moodle support.
Thank you, Michelle. But typically the vendor that we work with does support LMS institutions, right? So they support Canvas, D2L, Moodle, and Blackboard. So if you require scope and support on those aspects, you can reach out to Black Belt Help and they can clarify that with you. In addition to this, I think one of the other questions that we have from the audience is that where can we get the grant application? So the answer to that is that you could go to our website, which is campusconsortium.org, right? Or you can simply get in touch. We'll be sending you an email after this with our credentials and the grant application, so you can get in touch and connect with the person who got you to this iSeminar, or just simply respond to the email. The email will generate a ticket and someone from our team will get back to you, right? We'd like to move on from this, so we'd like to talk about how to apply for the IT Helpdesk Grant, and that is basically we cover $20,000 of the license, setup, and implementation of various IT Helpdesk grants. You can simply download the Campus Consortium IT Helpdesk Grant application form at the listed at the listed website, which is https://campusconsortium.org, and then you can email the grant application at campusconsortium.org. The grant deadline is June 28th. The total number of grants available is 10, but we have 2 spare, so that's 12 in total, right? And then here's a list of our here's a list of the schools that we have who have recently been awarded the Helpdesk Grant. So if you want to reach out to some of them, you could do so. I want to take one more question from the audience. That is, how will you sustain the Helpdesk service after the grant is over? The provider that we will provide you with, once you become a part of the consortium to the grant program, you get a leverage of a discounted vendor negotiator rate on the interactions. So let's say if the market rate of the interactions is $16, you'll get it for $8 an interaction. If it's, it's typically 50 to 60% less because you're a member of the consortium, right? So I hope that answers that question. Last is, we need to be Campus Consortium members to apply for the grant, and the answer is no, you do not need to be a member of Campus Consortium to apply for the grant. You can simply apply for the grant. There are multiple grants. You can apply for multiple grants, and we'll review your application and let you know if you're shortlisted to move ahead with next steps. So typically Campus Consortium works with 2 sponsors. One is Black Belt Health and one is HDI, that is Helpdesk Institute previously, if you know them. So HDI helps provide us insight and focus on what the training for Helpdesk services need to look like, and Black Belt Health is the vendor who provides services through the consortium to the people who would apply for the grant program. The next one is a little bit about Black Belt Health. We are the #1 provider in 24/7 and after us IT Helpdesk support in the higher education space. They've got 200 plus clients, 800,000 support interactions annually. They're based out of 2 offices. One is in Cleveland and one is in Chicago. So they provide you general IT support, learning management system application support. They've also forayed into student services, financial aid, enrollments, all of these. I'm going to cover a little bit about HDI. So HDI has been working with us to help support technical support professionals that are sitting in-house so that, they get trained on how to have Tier 1 and Tier 2. So Tier 1 could be at your institution. Tier 2 could be the outsourced vendor that you're going to, right? And then they've typically been able to provide us, more of a skill set or a skill upgrade in terms of HDI looking at our agents and also helping them groom as to what the needs of the hours are from institutions that come forth. Okay, that's it for today. We're at the end of our today's session. Here are some of the next steps again, just in case you missed out on those. We're getting to the top hour, and I do want to take a second to appreciate Michelle, we've enjoyed working with you on the grant and the implementation of your project, and your support of the consortium has been tremendous. I'd like to thank you for all your work on the project, which is even more complicated than system setting, but you've made it very easy by being very functional in providing us all the documents on time and making sure that the vendor can pick up and serve you as per what your security or your policies are at campus. We appreciate your time for this seminar, Michelle, as well. For all of those who've come today, please feel free to reach out to Roger or me. And for everyone who's been here today, have a great rest of the day, rest of the week. And this is Campus Consortium signing off. Have a great day.